Section 16 of Crime as Causes and Remedies by Cesare Lombroso. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information on a volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recorded by Leon Harvey. Chapter 16. Prisons, Newspapers, Imitation, Leaders, Other Causes. Subchapter 91. Prisons. One of the greatest factors in crime is the prison. We think that we are protecting and avenging society by imprisoning criminals, while on the contrary, we are not only furnishing them with the means of associating with one another and giving mutual instruction, but we are giving them real enjoyment besides. I should like to tear to pieces the man who speaks evil of the prison, saying a prisoner at Palermo. The prison is a piece of good fortune that has befallen us, because it teaches us hiding places and how to steal. These facts explain why we so often find in our statistics individuals who are sentenced 50 or 60 times, persons who steal simply in order to be incarcerated again. A certain man named Zucchi stole during the Assize in order to be arrested. Since 1852, he says, I have passed 20 years in prison. The amnesty set me free, but I cannot live on a franc a day, and I thought I would get myself put in prison as so to be able to eat, drink, and sleep. Your Honour increases sentence, for, after all, one is not so badly off in prison. In Rome in 1879, an old man of 80, who had spent 47 years in prison, begged the judge to send him back. I do not ask for a position, he said, but for some prison where I can live in peace. I am already 80 years old, and I shall not live long enough to ruin the government. Oliver Corona tells of a convict who, on leaving the prison, thanked the director and declared that he never before had such good food as he had since his incarceration. While the convict, says Oliver Corona, gets his 52 kilos of meat a year, the peasant ordinarily has but 25 kilos of salted beef and half a hog salted for himself and his whole family. We must, therefore, place the mildness of the prison regime on one of the causes of recidivism. Subchapter 92. Sensation. There is another very powerful cause of crime, which, however, it is hard to estimate exactly, except perhaps by the increase of certain crimes in some professions. I refer to the direct influence of sense impressions. Thus, for example, there are thieves who cannot see gold without taking it. A rich banker named Downer entered the establishment of his barber in a state of intoxication. An apprentice of the latter, 16 years old, who up to that time had been entirely honest, hearing the jingling of the money in the banker's pocket, was immediately seized with the idea of killing him and strangling him with a cord. Terrified at his crime, he fled and confessed, declaring that if he had not heard the sound of the coin, he would never have thought of committing the horrible deed. Mary Frank, 38 years old, an inveterate drinker, who had already had a period of insanity and was continually beaten by her husband, one day saw a great fire and immediately went and set fire to 12 houses. At Dealstorm, while witnessing the execution of 2 convicts, conceived the idea of killing her best friend in order to die in the grace of God. Subchapter 93. Imitation. The cases cited are doubtless to be explained in part by insanity, but still more there enters the effect of imitation, which is one of the most active causes of crime as well as insanity. In 1863 and in 1872, hardly had the newspapers begun to speak of the abandonment of children, than this crime was repeated in most cities 8 times in a single day to spine. The news of the assassination of Archbishop Cibola impelled a priest to attack the Bishop of Matera, although he had no grudge against him whatever. Dafresne hated a certain Deloc, but without thinking of harming him. He read the account of the trial of Verger, and getting up he cried, I too will do as Verger did, and killed his enemy. At Bergamo, a short time after the trial of Verzeni, 2 other cases of the strangling of women took place, and similar phenomena occurred in Paris after the trials of Philippe, Belloir, and Mayo, and in Florence after that of Martinetti. At the same time of the trial of Rose, 2 servants pretended they had been garroted by their master, after having stolen from him themselves. The poisoning of La Pommeraye was followed by that of Pritchard. This morbid stimulation is increased 100-fold by the prodigious increase in really criminal newspapers, which spread abroad the virus of the most loathsome social plagues. simply for solid gain and excite the morbid appetite and still more morbid curiosity of the lowest social classes. They may be likened to those maggots, which, sprung from putrefaction, increase it by their presence. These newspapers, unfortunately, have in a single Italian city as many as 28,000 readers. In New York, in 1851, a woman murdered her husband. A few days afterwards, 3 other women did the same thing. Corridori killed the director of his school, who had administered a deserted reproof to him, saying before he struck him, "I will repeat the case of the director of Cannazaro," who had also been killed for a similar cause. The attempted assassination of D. James upon the railway was followed by another upon the same line, Montel. End of section 16.